For tonight's class, you're going to need 2 blocks. If you don't have blocks, grab whatever you've got that's 2 of the same size, similar size. So 2 pillows or rolled up towels, rolled up blankets, something like that. And we're going to use them to start. So we're going to lie back on them. I'm going to set mine up on that mid-level there. That's going to go along my spine. And then for support for your head, you can either have it up to that highest level or just level with the rest with this other block here. And then part of the benefit to this and lying back down on these blocks is not just opening the chest and kind of taking this supported back bend, but also the myofascial release that you'll get with these blocks along those back muscles, along the spine there. But if that's too intense for you, then feel free to just put a blanket or something on top of that. But you're going to want to scoot up against it, hold your block in place there so it doesn't move away from you, and start to lay back down. And again, that's going to go right along the spine. I'm so sore. I took a Bikram class yesterday and I'm so sore. So I really need this myofascial release from the blocks, even though it's tough to get down here tonight. It's been tough to move today. But relax into it. That block will go not too low on your spine. Really, it's supporting your mid back here. So the spine where you've got your rib cage, that's where you want your block. And then your head can be supported however you like. And you can even drop it down to the lowest level, that block under your head, or lose that block altogether and just let your head hang. The crown of the head would come to rest on the mat. But settle into it where you feel comfortable here. You feel that sense of opening in the chest and in the shoulders. And you can make that a little more intense if you'd like by bringing your arms out. But you could also just bring your arms more down towards the legs if that's too much. Just experimenting with the first couple minutes here of it to see what's comfortable. I also like to maybe put a blanket or something on the hips for just a little bit of weight there on the hips, because you want to be mindful that you're not arching your back and tensing in your low back, that you're relaxing there. So sometimes having some weight there on the pelvis can help with that. And then once you settle into it, start to deepen the breath. Being mindful to keep the breath in the belly for now. We'll move into our Ujjayi breath a little later. But for now, breathe into the belly. It's a very calming breath. Stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system when we breathe into our belly. So just calming, centering, getting ready for this nice, slow flow practice. And anytime your mind wanders in this class, just acknowledge that it happened. Let it go. Watch those thoughts float on by like clouds in the sky, not giving them any more of your energy or time. Maybe noticing how that feels for you to breathe into your belly. We have belly breathers and chest breathers. You're typically one or the other. So if you are a chest breather, this might feel very foreign. Maybe it's taking a lot of your brain power to figure it out or to stay connected to that belly breath. We'll be here just about another minute. Maybe notice yourself relaxing into this a little bit more, releasing tension along the spine or in the hips, in the shoulders, through the chest. Give it 3 more nice, slow, deep breaths. And then when you're ready to come out, just be careful here. Use your elbows to sit yourself up a bit and then use your hands to work your way up to a seat. And then we'll just remove the blocks off to the side. We will be using them again throughout our practice, so keep them handy. First, we're going to come into butterfly, but just a nice, easy butterfly. So, um, allow the feet to be away from you. We don't have to come in here and have this so intense yet. We're just getting started. So, if your knees are still up really high, it's a good place to use the blocks if you'd like to have some support under the knees. We're just going to hold on to feet or ankles, whatever you've got, and we're going to make some big circles with our torso. Going around in one direction here and noticing all those areas that might feel a little stiff or sore. And then we'll switch and go around in the other direction. And come back, center. We'll just cross the legs and we'll do a little flow here with our breath. So we'll inhale, reach the arms up, and then exhale, twist to the right. Inhale, take that right arm up and over, staying in your twist, and then exhale, drop it over. You can drop the head. And then we'll inhale, come back to center, hands to knees, rock yourself forward in a seated cow, and then exhale back into a seated cat. And then inhale, back to center, and reach up. Exhale, twist to the left. Staying in that twist, you'll inhale, left arm up, and exhale it over. Inhale back to center, hands on knees, rock it forward. Exhale, rock it back. Inhale back to center, reach. Exhale, twist to the right. Inhale, right arm up. Exhale, reach to the left. Inhale, center, rock it forward. Exhale, back. Inhale, back to center, reach up. Exhale, twist to the left. Inhale, left arm up. And exhale, over. Inhale, back to center, forward. And exhale, back. And then inhale, just back to a seated position here. We're going to switch the cross in our legs. And then we'll do 2 more rounds of that with our legs crossed. Most likely the unnatural version of this for you. Feel a little funky maybe. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, twist to the right. Inhale, reach the right arm up. And exhale it over. Inhale, center forward. Exhale, back. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, twist left. Inhale, left arm up, and exhale over. Inhale, center and forward. Exhale, back. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, twist to the right. Inhale, right arm up. Exhale it over. Inhale, center, forward. Exhale, back. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, twist. Other side. Inhale that left arm up. And then exhale, bend. Inhale, back to center. Come forward. And exhale, come back. Inhale, back to a seated position. We're going to come into child's pose. So big toes touching, knees wide. Reach your arms out in front of you. Bring your forehead down to the mat. Maybe your hips have to lift away from your heels to get your forehead down. That's okay. We're just going to come into this for about 5 breaths here. Really tuning into that ujjayi breath if you haven't already. If you weren't using that ujjayi breath with our seated flow there, let's tune into it now. So that ocean sounding breath, imagining that your nostrils are there at your collarbones. You have a slight restriction to the throat, which causes that audible quality to the breath. Nice and slow. Last breath here. And then we'll come up into tabletop for some cat-cow. So hips stacked over the knees, shoulders over the wrists. Our palms are turned outward a bit here, and we're pressing each knuckle and finger down into the mat. Inhale, drop your belly. Rock the pelvis forward, reaching the tailbone up, reaching the chest forward, looking up. And then exhale, pull the belly in and push the ground away from you. Tuck your chin and look towards your belly. Inhale. Move with your breath now, trying to match the movement with the breath. It's one of the best things for mindfulness is breath and movement and matching the two together. Take one more round. And when you're finished with that, just meet with a neutral spine. We're going to use our blocks for another child's pose. And the blocks are going to support your elbows. So we'll have our elbows bent and our hands behind our head, and the elbows will be supported on the blocks. So I'm going to suggest having them both at that mid-level. If you know that you're really tight in the shoulders, then maybe start with that lower one. But if you come into the one with the mid-level and that's too much, then you know you can bring it down, and I'll even give you another modification once you're there if you need it. So you're going to, again, have the knees wide and come down. Place your elbows on these blocks here, and you can rest your hands behind the head. Now, hopefully your forehead comes down to reach the mat. If not, try lowering the blocks. It's most likely because you're tight there in the shoulders if you're unable to get the forehead down. You can also try putting a towel or forehead if you need. If you're close but not quite there, you can place a little something under the forehead. So if you come into this, you've got your blocks down pretty low, it's still feeling a little too much for you, you can just grab opposite elbows. So still allowing the elbows to rest on the blocks and be up above the head. So those shoulders are pulled back. But it's not quite as intense having your forearms in front of the head. So settling in, as always, settling into where you're comfortable holding. Also, if knees are not feeling great here, holding a child's pose for an extended amount of time, then you can always roll up a blanket or towel or put a pillow underneath your knees, sitting back on the towel, blanket, pillow, whatever you've got there. Use your breath to try to release the shoulders. Making sure that you're keeping the spine nice and long. So as you have your forehead down on your mat, you feel that lengthening that's happening all the way from your tailbone out the crown of your head. We've got that ujjayi breath, which means we've got our low belly engaged. We're just breathing into the rib cage here. Let's give it 3 more breaths. And after that third breath, you can very carefully come out of it. Begin to sit up. Maybe use your hands for support to come all the way back up. And then again, we'll just set those blocks off to the side momentarily. We're going to sit on our heels and we're going to stretch our feet. So, just fair warning here, this is not a very comfortable thing to do, but it's really, really good for our feet. Our feet need this so much. So, when you sit back on your heels, you're actually going to flex the feet. So, you're going to try to tuck those toes. And depending on your toes, I have nice long toes, so I can usually get them all tucked. But sometimes you might even need to help those toes out. Like if you've got a tiny little pinky toe or something, you might have to just help it out, and maybe it doesn't get tucked under. That's okay. But you're sitting back then on the heels as you're stretching the feet. And this can feel pretty intense. This is not something that we're typically used to doing. And so you might need to take a couple tries to settle into it. And you might need to sort of lean forward a little bit if it's just too much for you. But this is always a really wonderful opportunity to think about discomfort and that it's okay to be uncomfortable. We don't like it, but it's okay to be uncomfortable as long as you're safe being uncomfortable. So, for instance, here we want to make sure that we're listening to our body, like nothing feels bad in the knees or the ankles, or you're not really overdoing it. And you want to think about that in any posture, really. But as long as you're safe, it's okay to be uncomfortable. And these are the lessons we learn on our mat, and then we can apply off of our mat. So just knowing that usually when you're uncomfortable in life with the discomfort that comes in life, those are usually the moments that teach us the most or have the most growth potential. The most success can happen in those moments, and you just have to get past that initial instinct of wanting to run away from it and curl up with your comfort zone again. So we're almost done. You can maybe start feeling this even up into the shins a bit here. Just give it one more deep breath. And we'll come forward, untuck the toes very carefully here. And then you're going to just hit the feet on your mat. That'll feel pretty good there. So hitting the tops of the feet, kind of getting that blood flow back to your lower extremities there. And then we're going to come back sitting on the heels with our toes pointed now and lift the knees as much as you can, as feels comfortable there. So now you feel that stretch on the top of the feet. Our feet have so many tiny little muscles all in them, and they're always neglected with those nice supportive shoes that we wear all day long. So it's good to kind of give our feet some love here. A lot of people have issues with their feet. Plantar fasciitis is a big one. So it's good to do these things. Take care of your feet, stretch those muscles, and we'll come down back out of that. Let's take a child's pose just for 5 breaths. Come back and notice how your feet feel. It's almost a sense of lightness in the feet here, having worked that fascia in the feet that tends to not get worked very often. Take 2 more deep breaths. Work your way back up. Take your blocks. We're going to continue working on up the legs now. And we're going to come into a forward fold that's supported with our blocks. So at the top of your mat, you're just going to keep your feet hip width apart here and fold. Let your head hang. Feel that stretch in the hamstrings and just breathe. 5 deep breaths. If you need to bend the knees a little bit, that's totally fine. If you need to stack your blocks because you can't fold as far, that's fine too. Always finding ways to make the practice your own. How can it fit your body? We're come up halfway. You're going to plant your left foot and cross your right leg in front of the left, and then come back into that forward fold. So hanging the body over the legs, and we'll take 5 breaths here. Making sure there's no tension in your neck or shoulders. Your head's hanging nice and heavy. After that 5th breath, you'll come up halfway again, and we'll step the right foot down, plant that foot, cross the left leg over, and then fold. 5 breaths. After that 5th breath, you come up halfway again, uncross your legs, feet hip width apart, and fold. Take 3 breaths. And notice this forward fold. If you're coming just a little deeper, maybe, than that first forward fold. Hopefully, you are, after giving each hamstring some special attention there with 5 breaths on each side. After you're done here, you'll come up halfway. We're going to come into a squat. So you'll take your toes, you're going to widen your stance and take your toes off the mat, pointed out. You want to keep your toes in line with the knees though as you come down. So as you come down, you can adjust the feet if you need to bring the feet out wider. Maybe you need to roll up a towel or something under the feet for support if you're not able to keep your feet flat on the mat. You can also sit on one of your blocks. If you're not able to come all the way down, you can sit on a block. You can move up against a wall if you need to, but we're trying to achieve a nice stretch in the hips. If you don't need a block for assistance, then you're going to try to bring your hands to heart center and allow the knees to, or the elbows to press into the knees to feel more of a stretch in the hips. So settle into it. We won't be here too terribly long, but again, keep in mind it's okay to be uncomfortable. You know that it's ending at some point. So maybe work on that mental game in postures like this. Settle into it. We're going to take about 3 more breaths here. If you'd like, maybe you want to reach your arms out for the last few breaths. Again, make sure that your knees feel okay here. Knees are tracking with your toes. And then we'll go ahead and come down into a seat and we'll take butterfly again. This time we'll bring those feet a little closer into us if you can. Again, though, you can have your blocks under your knees if you need some support there. You can stay here, or maybe you'd like to lean forward, getting a little more stretch as you go. And settle into it. If you want to use a block or both blocks to rest your head, reach forward, reach the arms out, you can. And give it 5 more breaths here. And then very carefully use your hands to work your way back up to a seat. We're going to come into deer pose where we're keeping our left leg in front of us and then we're going to bend this right leg back behind us. And you want to try to keep yourself level and squared here to the front of your mat. And you position the lower part of your legs however is comfortable for you. So if it's better to have it back here or if you want this lower part out farther, you figure out what feels good as far as that is concerned. And then we're going to end up taking a twist here once you get settled. So we're going to be twisting to the left side. And you can have your right hand on that left knee to help bring you around in the twist. You can have your left hand behind on the mat for support to help you sit up nice and tall. Because anytime we're twisting, we want our spine nice and tall, chest lifted, opening the chest, broadening the collarbones, trying to keep the spine straight and not rounded as we're twisting. So looking as far over that left shoulder as you can. We'll give it 3 more breaths. Make sure you're not holding tension in your upper back and in your shoulders. And after that third breath, we'll switch legs. So now you're going to bring your right leg out in front, bent, and the left leg back, bent. Again, figuring out where it's comfortable here for you. You can always place a blanket under the hips too if you need to help leveling the hips out a bit. Once you're settled into it, then we're twisting to the right. We'll take 3 more breaths here. And then come out of it. We're going to take fire log, so we'll bring our right shin on top of our left. And if you can get the legs a little tighter where your foot is supported by that bottom leg, then it'll be a little easier here on your ankle. If this is tough here, you could place a block under your right knee or a rolled up blanket if that's more comfortable. But sit up nice and tall here and reach your chest forward as you hinge forward over those legs. If this is too much, just cross the legs, crisscross here with the right leg in front. So you'll hinge forward as much as you'd like. You can come all the way down if that feels good, or just part way if that would be too much for you. Give it a few good deep breaths here, and then we'll add another twist. You can stay here, but if you'd like the twist, you're going to keep your right hand or maybe bring your forearm down to the mat, or this might be a good place for your block too, if you kind of need an in-between point. And you're just going to keep your right hand on the right knee and look over that right shoulder. So you've got a little bit of pressure there. If you'd like it, you can press a little with that hand on the knee, helping to release that right hip a little more. 2 more deep breaths. And then we'll come out very carefully and switch our legs. So now our left leg will be on top, or if you were sitting crisscross, you will cross that left leg in front of the right. So come into it, support that knee if you need to. Maybe you didn't need to on the first side, and here you're feeling like you do need to. Or maybe you did on the other side and you don't feel like you need to. Here, it's when it comes to hips, they can be very different. So just work with those differences. When you're ready, sitting up nice and tall, reaching that chest forward as you hinge forward, hands in front of you on the mat for support is helpful. Coming all the way down or just part way, whatever you did on the other side. Nice deep breaths here to release, gripping in the hips, maybe in the low back. And then we'll add that twist if you took that option on the other side, setting up in a similar way, this time right hand or arm down and left hand on the left knee. And we'll look over that left shoulder. Last breath. And come out slowly and set your blocks aside. We're finished with those. We're just going to finish off here with a half happy baby and tree, reclined tree. So you're going to lay down on your back and keep your left leg long on your mat. Bring your right foot to face the ceiling. Grab the outer edge of the right foot, allowing the right knee to fall to the outer side of the torso. So you're going to push your foot into your hand into your foot there. Keep the left leg straight. So if you need to flex that left foot to help keep that leg straight, flex the foot. Otherwise, you can relax it or release it. Release the toes there. But the right leg is pretty active. Feeling that stretch in the hip. If you need to just grab behind the knee, you can. If you can't reach the foot, we'll give it 2 more breaths here. And then bring that foot to the inside of your left leg and let the right knee just fall down to the mat. Hopefully, it's falling down towards the mat. You can release in the right hip flexors there. If it's tight, go ahead and place some support under that knee if you need it. Three more breaths here. And we'll straighten that leg. Keep it straight as we bring the left foot up. So grabbing the outer edge of that left foot or maybe behind the knee if you needed to take that modification. But again, allowing the leg to fall to the outer side of the torso there. Kicking into your grip, pulling back with your grip into that foot. We'll give it 2 more breaths. And then release that foot down to the inside of your right leg. Last breath. And then extend that left leg out. Take up as much space as you'd like here and let your feet flop open. Your legs are relaxed. Hips are very relaxed. Belly is soft. And then tune into the subtle the scalp, your ears, your jaw, your tongue, your eyes. Releasing any tension you feel. Just feeling heavy as you sink down into your mat. Stay here as long as you can. Namaste.